Hi everyone, my name is Tori, this is Note Life, and welcome back to my channel. Today I have my February TBR to share with you, and I am very excited because a lot of things are happening in February. One, it is a Pharaoh Feb. If you don't know what that is, it's Fantasy Romance February, so my romantasy era is moving into February as well. It is also Black History Month. It is also Lunar New Year in February, so there's a lot of things to celebrate, and I'm very excited for the books that I have on my TBR. I have put together this TBR based on my library holds that I think are going to come in, that say they're going to come in the next 3 to 4 weeks. I have some physical books that I've been wanting to read. I have some read-alongs. I have my Patreon picks. I have a lot of good books, so let's just go ahead and jump right in. And the two books that I want to start with are my Patreon picks. So every month on my Patreon, I let my patrons pick 2 books out of 5. I give them 5 choices. The top 2 most voted books are the 2 I read for an exclusive reading vlog. And I gave them a mix of backlist books and new releases, and the first one that they chose that they wanted to see me vlog was Magnolia Park's Into the Dark. Now, you guys know I am a huge fan of Magnolia Parks. I love this series, and I'm scared, but I'm also excited because this is the, I think, last book for BJ and Magnolia, which means I'm pretty sure we get their HEA. Jessa Hastings hasn't said that they're in game, but it's pretty obvious that they are. So I just hope that they work things out, because the way that Long Way Home ended really broke my heart. There was a lot of things left unanswered, and I'm low-key nervous, and I'm definitely going to pause everything and read that book when it comes out, because I need to be back in that world. I do have the audiobook for Into the Dark on hold. I don't know if it's going to come on release day, but I also have the audiobook for Long Way Home to reread it at some point, just to listen to it while I'm working, to kind of refresh my mind. So I'm very excited for that. So if you would like to join my Patreon, I always have a 7-day free trial for my Patreon, so you can join, try it out, see if you like the content I make over there. If not, cancel, no big deal. But I'll be reading that book along with He's Not My Type by Megan Quinn. So I got the audiobook for this when it was on sale the beginning of January, I think it was, and I'm very interested because I've read all the other books in this series. Right Man, Right Time was one of my favorite books that I read last year. The audiobook was absolute perfection. So I think Halsey's story is actually going to be more emotional than what people think. I've seen some of my friends' ratings, and they rated it 4.5 stars, which gives me very high hopes for this book. So I'm very excited for this book. I want to finish out this series by Megan Quinn. For someone who said for the longest time Megan Quinn's not for me, this series in particular, I've enjoyed most of the books. So I'm very excited to end out this series. I think this is the last book. I think this could be the last book. I don't know, but I'm very excited to read this. I'll be reading it for my Patreon. This will be my audiobook. And yeah, I'm glad to have a physical copy that Megan Quinn signed, which is actually really cool that I have this. Now, the next book I have on my TBR is Starling House by Alex E. Haro. I did put this on my January TBR, and I did not get to it because my audiobook hold did not come in, but it says that I have less than 3 weeks for this book. I'm very excited for that. I haven't been listening to audiobooks as much throughout the day while I work because I have to really intensely focus on what I'm working on. So I literally, it could be playing, the audiobook could be playing in the background and I don't listen to it, which defeats the purpose of trying to listen to an audiobook. So what I have been doing at night when I sit down and I lay down, I put on my audiobook and I physically read the book as well. One, it helps me focus on the book and stay focused on the book, and I get more reading time that way because I'll read for 30 minutes and then get distracted by my phone or something like that. But if I'm listening to the audiobook physically reading along, I'm more apt to pay attention, if that makes sense. So I'm very excited. I know this is a more gothic fantasy-esque gothic type, and I read One Dark Window, and that was an amazing duet. Both of those books in January were absolutely amazing. It's 2 of my favorite books of the month, so I'm very excited. I have high hopes for this. I think this is more on the YA side, but I'm still very excited. It follows a young woman that is, I think that's she goes into this house and she can see the ghost or something like that. I want to go in blind because that's kind of how I went in with One Dark Window, and I loved it. So very excited for this one. Another audiobook that I have on hold is A Fragile Enchantment by Allison Saff. So this is a YA fantasy. I think it's more of a historical fantasy. It definitely reminds me of what Divine Rivals was, and I really love that. I wouldn't call Divine Rivals fantasy, so I don't know how much fantasy this one's going to be, but I've heard that this has a chronic illness representation in the book. I don't know what chronic illness it is, but I just put the audiobook on hold once it came out, and I've been waiting for it, so I'm definitely going to read that one. I don't know too much. I just I love the cover. I think it's cute. I think it's going to be an amazing audiobook. And yeah, I'm really excited for that one. Another book that I have that's more on the dark academia side of things is An Education in Malice by S.T. Gibson. So S.T. Gibson wrote A Dowry in Blood. I love that book. It was so unique, so different. I wouldn't say that one's necessarily romance. I read the previous like indie version, so I don't know if the new version has an HEA in that way. I don't know, but I really like the way that S.T. Gibson wrote that book. It was very unique in a way. It was like diary format. So I don't know anything about this book, but I'm very excited. It comes out, I think, February 13th. So I have the audiobook and the ebook on hold, so whichever one comes in, I hope comes in soon around release day, so I'm very excited for that one. I do kind of want to do a dark academia reading vlog. If you want to see that, you can let me know in the comments down below. I've been in the mood for that, and it's just where I'm going. I'm like channeling my dark academia vibes today with the whole like neutral eye, red lip, kind of like black. I don't know. It's the mood that I'm vibing with, okay? But I'm very excited for that one just because it's S.T. Gibson and I like their writing and I want to read more by them. I'm very excited to announce that I am doing a read-along of the whole Wraith Kings series by Grace Draven. So this read-along is going to be hosted by me, by Crystal at Crystal's Bookish Life, Christy at Christy Reads a Lot, Melissa from Book Bar, and Ava from Ava's Romance Books. I love all of them so much. I'm so glad that they messaged me and was like, yes, I want to do this. The Wraith Kings read-along is going to be 3 books because that's all Grace Draven has out in the series. But the first book is Radiance. I have these special editions. I think, who is this from? I can never remember. Oh, this is Fake Crate. I have the Fake Crate special edition, so this is Radiance. I love this. I mean, the original covers are very similar, but this is like character art. I love these. I probably will not read these because I don't want to mess them up, but it has like pretty sprayed edges. And I think on the inside there's more art on the dust jackets, which I like. So the first book is Radiance. The second book is Readalong, which these 2 books follow the same couple. It is a friends to lovers, kind of like different species fantasy romance where they're forced into an arranged marriage together, and they're kind of just forced to learn to live with a different species that they don't find attractive at all, but they're married now, so they have to work around it. So this is a very interesting series. And the third book is The Infamous King, which is, it follows another character you see in Readalong. It's like their continuation of their story. And I think you do see the 2 characters from Radiance and Readalong in there. I actually have not read The Infamous King, but I have read Radiance and Readalong. I love those 2 books. I read them pretty early on in my fantasy romance kind of like journey, but I want to revisit them. And I know a lot of people haven't read them, and it's one of my favorites that I always recommend for people who are new to fantasy. So if you want to join us, the live show will be on my channel on February 24th. I'm very excited. I'm very, 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 very excited for more people to read this series because I feel like it's so underrated. And yeah, I'm just very excited to do this read along with everyone. I'll have the other host tagged in the description box below. A couple other books that I have. The first one is The Red String Theory by Lauren Kung Jensen. So this is the author of Lunar Love that came out last year. I never read that one, but it was on my TBR. I just never got to it, but Forever sent me this book and I'm very excited because I love the premise of this, that there's like the red string theory, which is like your soul is tied to like another person kind of a thing. It's very romantic. I love that. I just think that this book sounds adorable just based on that premise. So I put the audiobook on hold at my library. I do hope I get it because I mean, I really want to read this and I think the audiobook's going to be very good. But yeah, I'm very excited for Lunar New Year. My family, well, my husband's family, they celebrate Lunar New Year, so I'm very excited. Very excited to dive into this book. The next one I have is The Woman by Kristen Hanna. So you guys know Kristen Hanna, one of my favorite historical fiction authors. She's just like a go-to. I know that I'm going to get a really good story, and I'm not caught up on her backlist. I do have The Four Winds on my TBR. It's still on my TBR cart, that whenever the mood spikes for me to read that, I will read it. Now, The Woman is a new release in February that I'm very excited for, so I think I can get the audiobook through Libro FM. If I'm not mistaken, I can get it through there. So I'm very excited for that one. I do hope that I love that one. I've seen some ratings on Goodreads already, some early ratings, and they've been really good, so I have high hopes for that one. I have 2 other fantasy romances on my TBR. I also want to do a fantasy romance vlog in February, so if you're interested in that, please let me know in the description box below. I'm trying to plan out some more vlogs for you guys because I start and then I just never finish them. So I have The Crown of Oaths and Curses by J. Bree. Every single time I ask for your favorite fantasy romances, this book comes up. And I know April from April's Happily Ever After, I think that's her channel, she always talks about this book. Like every time I mention it, she's like, yes, this book is amazing. So I'm very excited to dive into it. I want to order the paperbacks of this book in the next one, but I'm like, do I read them on KU because they're on KU and then order the paperback after? I don't know. I'm trying to like be more conscious of like me purchasing books myself. So if it's on Kindle Unlimited, I'm going to try and just read it in Kindle Unlimited. And if I like it, then I'll buy the paperback. But I'm very excited for that one. I don't really know all too much. I just know I think it's an enemies to lovers fantasy romance. And that's all I'm going to know going into it. Now, the second book is The Book of Azrael by Amber V. Nicole. So Amber V. Nicole is actually going to go to a Polycon, which is very exciting. And I've talked about this author before that I followed her on TikTok like 2 or 3 years ago, before she even wrote and released a book. And I thought, oh, I'll read it when it comes out. And I totally forgot about it until I was digging more into like the KU romantasy books. And I saw this book. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Also, she's working with Good Girl PR, which is another PR company that I follow on Instagram. They do a lot of cool book boxes. So they're doing the arcs, I think, of the 3rd book. So I got a little bit to catch up, but it's fine. I'm going to read the first book. I'm going to see how I like it. It has very good ratings on Amazon and Goodreads, so I'm very excited for this one. I also have The Will of Minnie by James Islington. I don't know. I heard that this is a fantasy romance that will kind of like twist your head around, I think. I've heard Lizelle talk about it. I've heard Crystal talk about it. And I'm like, okay, let's see if I am a true romantasy girly. I'm going to try and read this one. I don't think it's on Kindle Unlimited. This one's kind of a far-fetched TBR one for me because I'm like kind of scared. I have all these hardcore fantasies on my shelf. That's not necessarily fantasy romance, but like I want to be that person, but I'm like, am I really ready for that? So I'm going to throw one on there. We'll see if I get to it, but I'm very excited for that one. And the last 2 books are just some fun books that I want to read. So the first one is The Alien's Prize by Zoe Draven. So I've heard a lot of good things about Zoe Draven, and I don't think I've read anything by them, but my friend Tiff from Tiff Talks Pages and Ava from Ava's Romance Books has a brand new alien like sci-fi romance book club, which is perfect for those two. They absolutely love like Zoe Draven, Ruby Dixon. Like Ava is Ruby Dixon's like biggest fan, okay? And I thought this is like 200 pages. I can most definitely squeeze this in. It's not a very long book. The audiobook is available. My Hoopla doesn't have it, but like I said, it's only 200 pages on Kindle Unlimited, so I'm gonna give it a try. I'm not usually into the whole alien romances, but I did like some of the books in the Ice Planet Barbarian series, so we'll see. I'm going to give this one a try. I just want to participate and chat in their live show because I love them both. And the last one is for my Patreon exclusive read-along that I do every 3 months. So every 3 months, I pick a series and we all read them, whether you've read some of the books, all of the books, whatever. And then I do like a Google Meet where we all chat about what we thought of the books. So we're doing the whole Alliance series by S.J. Tilley. So I personally have already read Dom and Nero. So it's Nero, King, Dom, Hans. Those are the 4 books in the order that they go in. I've read Dom first, completely out of order. I really love that book. Then I read Nero, very unhinged, shocker, with a little bit of craziness and stuff like that. So I have King on my TBR for February, and then March I'll put Hans on my TBR, just because in March that will be when our live show is. So yeah, King, I don't know anything other than what I've seen in the books. I've heard that he's unhinged too, so that all sounds like a great mafia romance. I'm very much in the mafia mood when I switch from romantasy. I like the mafia, the darkness of it. So that's the mood I'm going for. That's what we're doing, okay? But yeah, I'm very excited for all those books on my TBR. I do want to mention a couple of books coming out in February that I've already read. So The Bride by Ali Hazelwood comes out on February 6th. So yeah, you could pick that up really early on. I did a Patreon exclusive reading vlog for this book and I gave it 4 stars. I was actually very surprised. And it's been a while since I read a true paranormal romance, but I really like that one. Ashes of You by Catherine Cowles. That one comes out February 8th, so it's a Thursday. Adored this book. 5 stars. 5 stars. It's the end of the Lost and Found series era, the Hartley era. I'm very sad, but it was amazing. And I did not guess the killer. It was very much a surprise. I never guessed them, but I have fun texting and being like, is it this? Is it that? Is it this? Is it that? So that was fun. I also read Serpentine Valentine by Gianna Darling. This is a sapphic Medusa retelling. Do I have to say anything else? Just go read this book. This put me in my dark academia mood. Like that book inspired this outfit. I also have like a blazer I'm going to put on to take some photos of it. I'm very excited. I just want everyone to read that book. Now, a couple other books that I have on hold that I don't think is going to come in February is The Infinity Alchemist by Case and Calendar. This is I think YA fantasy. A Tempest of Tea by Hafash Fazil. It's February 20th. I'm very excited for. We have A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jensen. That's the 27th. I don't think I'm going to get to that. I'll put that on my I'll put that on my March TBR. And then we have The Partner Plot by Christina Forrest on February 27th, which once again, I don't think I'm going to get to that book in February. It'll be on my March TBR. But that is all the books that I have for February that I want to read. I'm going to be coming out with a February monthly reset vlog on Sunday, so you guys are seeing this on Tuesday. I'm actually about to start that and film that now. I want to get my TBR cart all organized and move from my January stuff that I did not read off. I'm going to be doing a Q&A. I'm going to be doing a couple of like organization things and stuff like that. Film some content. I'll give you the behind the scenes of that. But for the emoji for this video, drop me a black heart emoji. Very much in my dark academia mood. Like, that's what I want. That's what I want to read right now. Yeah, drop me a black heart emoji in the comments down below if you've made it this far. Also, let me know a book you're excited to read in February. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe for more content for me. As always, I hope you're living a novel life, and I will see you in my next one. Bye, guys.